What's up, y'all? Rich Slaton here. Today, we're going through my list of the top 5 most exciting cards in Clash Royale. What do I mean by exciting? Well, I'm talking about cards that when they drop, when they hit, when they make their impact, it's felt. You get excited. If a crowd's watching, they get excited. The kind of cards that elicit oohs and ahs when they get in the mix. So without further ado, let's jump into my list of the top 5 most exciting cards in the game. Coming in at number 5, the Sparky. Sparky hits so insanely hard, and even when a Sparky comes down in the back, the moment you see it dropped, your entire view of the game changes. It's all about planning for when that Sparky crosses the bridge. And you're so nervous about it. If that Sparky hits your tower, it is so devastating, and it doesn't just hit your tower. It's the splash damage. Your Sparky can hit a troop just a little bit too close and suddenly change everything. Of course, the Sparky has its defensive utility, can be really great at working against a golem or against a giant or against a giant skeleton, but really it's that moment that it gets too close. And we all know even a 1 HP Sparky, just a sliver of health, can change everything. You can go from being in the lead or from being behind, depending on if you have the Sparky or if you don't, and next thing you know, bam! Tower down, everything's changed. Suddenly there's a huge swing. If you're doing Sparky with NATO, you can pull together a whole push and take care of it. A zap, of course, going back to CRL EU, 2 elixir, changing everything there. So that's why Sparky makes this list for me an easy choice for number 5. When it comes down, you freak out, you focus on it, and when it hits, it changes everything. Number 4 on my list of the 5 most exciting cards in Clash Royale is the Magic Archer. Now, this might be the most controversial of my choices on this list, but I have a lot of reasons. First and foremost, it's sort of the evolution the card has gone through over time, right? When it first came into the game, it was kind of overpowered, a little bit too fast, some might say, and it was only pretty much seen or mostly seen in that 3M Royal Hogs deck. And at the time, and even now in some ways, it's seen a lot as a support card, right? Especially as part of those Fireball bait decks. But as people have gotten better and better at using the Magic Archer, both primarily as a reactive card, we've seen the ability to change a game in a moment's notice. Not just finishing off games, of course, which we've seen before, but also just to add a lot of value, add in some extra damage at the bridge really, really fast. You know, your opponent drops something, bam! You get the Magic Archer down, a little bit of geometry, gets on the tower, and of course, the finishing ability, right? That extra win condition you add into a deck, whether you're playing bridge spam, fireball bait, whatever it might be, the ability to drop that card right at the bridge and finish off a tower when your opponent thinks they might be safe for a second, they're focused on your main win condition. We've seen that, and of course, the big time we saw that was at World Finals, that 1 HP game, which is the most exciting moment ever in the history of Clash Royale, so that's why I think Magic Archer deserves the number 4 spot on this list. Making it to number 3 on my list, a card that for a long time was stuck in 2v2 land, was overlooked in head-to-head play. People really didn't involve it in their decks at all, and then suddenly, over the course of last summer into this fall, roared into the meta and became a central part of some really exciting and some annoying 1v1 decks, head-to-head decks. And I'm talking about, of course, the Giant Skeleton. For so long, the Giant Skeleton was pretty much a part of 2v2, and we saw it worked in during CRL, NA, and EU Season 1, as you might call it, as a support card. It'd clog up lanes at the bridge and then blow things up. Was great with how much Golem there was, how much RG there was. But then we saw things begin to change in CRL West Spring, and the big addition was the Giant Skeleton moving into that Splash Yard deck. And if you watched CRL at all, those moments, Javi 14 at the end of Season 1, both in the regular season and in playoffs, the way he was just caught flat-footed by the Giant Skeleton over and over again, and that's how we all feel about Giant Skeleton, right? If it escapes, if it can get away, if it can get just that one tile too close, kaboom, suddenly it changes everything. It's kind of like the Sparky in that respect, right? You spend so much focus on it, but unlike the Sparky where you're focusing on it the entire time, time, and sometimes you just get overwhelmed by the pressure. With Giant Skeleton, you sometimes lose focus for a second. You think about everything else, you just assume that you'll be able to catch that Giant Skeleton and not let it get to your tower, but sometimes you assume wrong. Giant Skeleton gets there, drops that death bomb, and then kaboom, your tower gets a whole lot of damage, maybe tower down, an instant game changer. So that's why, for me, Giant Skeleton now is number 3 on the list. Number 2 on my list of the all-time most exciting cards in Clash Royale, another skeleton carrying another bomb, and people kind of forget it's a skeleton, and that's the balloon. The balloon has been a major win condition for so long in Clash Royale, but it fits into so many different decks. It's one of the most versatile win conditions when you really think about it, right? You have Lava Loon, you have Miner Loon, you have Lumber Loon, you have Balloon Freeze. You have so many different ways you can get a balloon on a tower and support it. It's a really interesting, really versatile condition, and it's also really frustrating because for some people, me included, just that little bit of 3D, right, where it's like the shadow versus where the balloon is. Sometimes you think you have the pull down, the snowball, the NATO, whatever it might be, and you lose track just for a second. Not to mention how much commitment it really takes, right? If you overspend the wrong direction, you throw one card into the wrong lane, cycle the wrong card at the wrong time, next thing you know, balloon goes right to your tower. And you might have a card to defend, but a balloon can, you snowball, it still gets there. E-Wiz can still let it get there, right? There are so many ways the balloon gets to your tower, and one balloon drop is devastating, 2 balloon drops is world-changing. And then you add the death damage on top of that. When it hits, it's so crazy. There's so many times when it gets so close, even a one that doesn't actually connect is so exciting, right? Sometimes it gets right there and doesn't, and it still gets your blood pumping. So, balloon, such a crazy win condition just because of what it can do, the versatility, mixing with other win conditions, raged up, freezed up. It's a game changer, which is why, for me, it becomes number 2 on this all-time exciting list. All right, guys, number 1, the top. What's your top choice for the most exciting card in Clash Royale? Go ahead, let me know in the comments. Maybe you'll disagree, but I think there's no real argument against this card being the most exciting card in all of Clash Royale. It's the Miner. Yeah, the Miner, the most exciting card in Clash Royale. Why, Rich? Well, let me go ahead and tell you. The Miner is so crazy versatile. It's because you can put it absolutely anywhere. And, you think about it, the Miner, just put it on tower, go to the safe spot, maybe go somewhere else, hope they don't have a tornado. But there's so many other things it does. The defensive capabilities of the Miner, first and foremost. Great options to catch something that people didn't expect, and some high-level players really move it into the defensive universe. You add in the ability to kite a Mega Knight or a P.E.K.K.A to the opposite lane, a beautiful move. Take a look at Air Surfer getting kind of completely caught off guard by Javi 14 with that beautiful kite to make room and break through, right? You can change a game that way. And of course, we just talked about one of our other win conditions, the balloon. When you combine Miner and balloon, get a Miner down, zap, get a retarget on. There are so many ways the Miner can do something different. And there's so many ways you can create amazing moments with the Miner. It combines with so many win conditions, and then of course the ability to do things that no other card can do. Almost the unpredictability of a Miner is what makes it so exciting. So that's why Miner is my number 1 most exciting card in Clash Royale. Hope you guys enjoyed this list. Thank you very much for watching. If you did like it, go ahead, hit like, hit subscribe, which will be right up here somewhere. The next video will be right down here. And let me know in the comments if you think that there's some other card that deserved to be on this list. Graveyard was a short contender for a while, so maybe that's something I should have put on here. So let me know what you think, and we'll be back here next time. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.